So today we got a question from Brandon, and he's curious about how intense he should train when he's in the gym. And he says, Chewy, I'm noticing that throughout the gym, some people train in a relaxed, sort of light way, while others train in a very hard and explosive manner all the time. And he says that he has a little over a year experience and he's wanting to get serious about competition. So he wants to start doing jiu-jitsu competitions. He wants to start doing MMA. And he's wondering at what intensity should you or would you recommend to train in this circumstance? So brother, thank you for the question. And Brandon, so getting into intensity, I would say it like this. It's going to be hard for you because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to train at a intensity that is going to somewhat mimic the competition. So this way, when you get out there in the competition, you don't want to be thrown off guard by the fact that it's going to be really intense, right? So you're going to train hard. But the one thing that I would say before I get into like some of the training tips that I would share with you is that you're probably going to have to go through a competition before you can understand what that intensity is like. I remember for me, with my experience in wrestling, I did not understand what it was like to compete at an intense level until I competed in wrestling matches. Because, you know, when you're out there, you're against another human being that doesn't know you, doesn't like you, and you basically have this free like time that's set aside where you can brutalize each other, and it's completely okay. It's legal. You can do it. So you can slam and dump each other, and I remember that was like eye-opening. When I got in my first couple wrestling matches, it was like walking out of something, and like a door had been opened in me because I can now I can shift gears into an intensity that was not there beforehand. And like in MMA, I remember my first couple MMA fights, man, like I'm not a mean person. But in an MMA fight where, you know, again, you have a license for however long that match is to physically harm someone. You can beat them senseless, and it's completely okay. You can't do that anywhere else in society, right? I can't go down the street and just start punching a guy in the face. But me and this other warrior have agreed upon these rules, and we're going to bash each other into oblivion if we can, or submit each other, whatever we can do, and it's completely okay. And I remember being in those situations and like, I mean, just pounding dudes and busting them up, and you're just like, whoa, you know, this is a primal thing. And that intensity, even in training, I would never do that to my training partners because I'm hitting them with an intensity that it's not available to me in normal situations and training situations. So I think that you're going to have to probably do a jiu-jitsu competition before you can really experience that intensity to know what you're training for. That said, when you get into your own training hard and training light, they both have pros and cons and they have purposes. If you're training hard and explosive all the time, I guarantee you your body's going to wear out pretty quickly. May not be now, may not be next year, but it's going to be eventually at some point your body's just going to wear down to a nub. Again, your body needs rest, it needs time. Think about other pro sports, okay? Most pro sports, they have seasons and they train in like intervals and they go hard and they back off. They don't just train year round, balls to the wall crazy, right? They have seasons that they train for and then they ease up off the gas pedal a little bit. This is something jiu-jitsu guys should keep in mind because again, your flesh bucket only has so many miles left on it, right? Eventually gets used up. The other side of it is the light training has the ability to, again, if you do too much of it where you can't get into that intensity, that's going to be bad, but at the same time, it has the ability to allow you to train in a manner where you can kind of develop new techniques and you can kind of play around, and at the same time, you're almost recovering actively. So what I would say is you want to have a blend of those, and they need to undulate a bit. So, you know, like during the week, if I know I'm going to have a hard training session on Saturday and Sunday, I might have a lighter training session or no training session on Monday. And then you kind of give yourself some downtime. And then what I would say is leading up to a competition, what you want to do ideally is you want to have a little bit of time to separate, maybe 6-8 weeks, and you work up to a peak, meaning you start off and you try to work up to have more rounds, more rolls, harder training, more drilling, whatever it might be, and you work up to this peak. And then, the last week or so of your, training sessions should be a lot of drilling and a lot of sort of giving yourself time to recover because you don't want to go into, I don't roll the week of. What am I going to get out of it? I'm not going to get some big cardio boost. I just do a lot of drilling. I get a good sweat in. I keep my diet in check, and then I let my body recover. And it's amazing. If you've ever had a couple days where you had to take off from jiu-jitsu because of something, you weren't sick or anything, you just had to take off for whatever reason, and then you come back a couple days later, a lot of times you're like, man, I feel great. It's because you gave yourself time to rest. And again, nothing's going to leave you that quick. If you've done a good job of building yourself up over the course of those weeks, give yourself a few days off to rest and get ready for the competition, you'll be fine, and that'll keep you from getting injured. Now, when you're training, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to touch the intensity periodically, but at the same time, you don't want to train at like max intensity every single day, because again, you'll wear out mentally, you'll wear out physically, probably get injured, you'll start getting into that overtraining realm. It just wouldn't be ideal. So you want to touch the intensity, but at the same time, you don't want to stay there the whole time. You want to allow it to sort of up and down, undulate. So this way you get that intense training, you touch it, but at the same time, you give yourself time to recover. And this way you can train consistently for a longer period of time. That's my ideal in it. So, again, you can take this with a grain of salt. That's just the way that I personally like to do it. And that's just the way I think is pretty beneficial for as far as longevity's sake, being able to train for a long period of time without being completely wrecked at the end of it. So, brother, thank you for the question. Hope that helps. And guys, I'll talk to you next time.